Hello and welcome to the Lost Rewatch. We're into season 4. We had two, I'm going to say, great episodes to talk about today. And 2 episodes, I really forgot a lot about them until I started watching them. I was like going, oh, that's right, this happens. I've been saying that a lot, but this one was really, I go, God, it's been a long time since I've seen these 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good episodes.
Yes.
Very. I have notes. We have lots to talk about.
Well, that's good. That's good. If you're in the chat, if you want to say something, just say it in the chat, and we'll put it up here and we'll talk about it. But I think we'll talk about The Economist first.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Saeed's great hair episode.
His hair was spectacular.
Yeah, not that I'm jealous,
sure,
but that he has fantastic hair.
His hair is almost as wonderful as his golf game, or maybe it still needs to work on that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Now, did you see the golf course? It looked like they had just put fresh sod down. Do you think the trucks going out there to film tore up the grass?
You would think so. It's very possible. It makes a lot.
I never noticed it before, but I'm looking. I go, that sod looks like it's brand new in certain spots. I go, I wonder if the trucks, when they went out there to film, destroyed it has nothing to do with the the Lost storyline, but it was driving me crazy. I go,
you're like, this is so pristine. I mean,
yeah.
I just can't
Inquiring minds want to know.
Plus, there's a certain point you're not supposed to be driving your golf cart on the course, right?
Right.
Right. Yes. Usually there's areas roped to where you can and cannot have your cart. And
right. So he deserved to be shot, right? Am I?
Yeah. Oh yeah. What kind of? You're right. What kind of balls this guy's got? He's just driving right up there, right in the middle of the fairway. You're absolutely correct. He should not have been in that area. I guarantee it.
That's why Saeed shot him. It wasn't because he was on some list,
It was about golf etiquette.
Yeah. It's like, dude.
You son of a bitch. Boom.
He wasn't pleased with the wager.
And anyway, my employer says hello.
Yeah, get off the golf course. He just leaves him there.
Yeah.
The sprinklers come on. Now, the sprinklers normally come on when people are golfing during the day?
It shouldn't. It should not. That's definitely a mistake. But I thought to myself, whenever he leaves him there, is that considered a hazard for the next group that comes through? A dead body in the middle of the fairway? I mean, is that a hazard? What happens if you hit him?
That's true. Do you have to yell 4 if the person's already dead?
I don't think that's a requirement. I'll check my handbook at home, but I can't imagine that being a requirement during golf.
Because you yell 4 for safety of the other golfers.
Yes,
and
that's true.
Like you pointed out, Jeremiah, this guy's already dead.
He's already dead. So. He doesn't need anybody to warn him about safety because his life is over.
Okay, if the
but really, I'm wondering where the bar cart was.
Yeah.
There was no cocktails involved.
Yeah.
Now, if the ball lands on him, do you have to take a penalty?
Right. That's what I want to know. It's a really good question. But I don't know about you. I mean, I haven't played a golf a lot, but I do enjoy the game. But when I've played, I have never encountered a dead body in the middle of the fairway.
No, me either.
No.
Of course, the last place my ball is going to go is the middle of the fairway. I'm usually in the trees and the other.
That's a good point. My ball has very rarely ever been in the middle of the fairway.
It's not my fault. It's just they have the course in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Right. It should be slanted to the right.
I agree 100%. They do that on purpose, man, just to mess with you.
I could be on the tour if they just changed the whole. Anyway.
Yeah, that's beside the point. But so basically, what we've learned is it's very possible dead body could be a hazard on a golf course. And if you see a dead body, maybe you have chosen the wrong course to be playing on anyway.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So.
Or don't get in the way of Ben Linus. That's another really important rule.
It took me like halfway through this episode to realize that that's right. He's the guy. Oh, there's Joel. How's it going, Joel?
I completely forgot to watch the episodes.
Oh,
that's right. We have notes. Memory. You can join us.
You can. We haven't really started. We've been talking about golf etiquette.
Yes.
And if a dead body is in play,
I'm going to find my AirPods so I'm not running the audio. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Well, I do want to point out something about Saeed's golfing, just for a split second, because, I'm crazy like that. Saeed in this episode, when he's golfing, golfs lefty, but yet he's a righty.
Yeah, actually, it's funny. I did put that in my notes because I don't know why I do not remember that from the past. I just, it's like one of those things. They make the shot, right, and then of course they have this little friendly wager on who's going to make it closest. And for some reason, I never really paid attention. But this time, I'm watching him and going, "Wait a minute, he's hitting left-handed," and it was really weird. So I put that. I'm glad you mentioned that because it was something that I just never noticed before. Does anybody remember him doing other things left-handed? I tried to put my mind.
I think he pulled some fingernails out left-handed.
Did he? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
there you
I think
go.
so.
Did he?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Just a theory. But so we learned a lot there.
Elizabeth says, "Hi everyone, looking forward to the discussion. The Economist is one of my favorites. It's so full of twists and turns.
It is.
Even for Lost.
It is. I know it's definitely one that I've always had high fond memories of. And maybe it's because I love seeing Sayid in this role. And when you think about all the different episodes that happened in the season for the flash forwards, this one's so much fun to watch for Sayid fans because, really get to see him just kind of being a badass here. And, and the whole time you're wondering, why is he doing this? Who is he working for? You have so many great questions you answer. So I really feel like the flash forward really works so nicely in this one, probably even a little bit better than the following episode that we'll be talking about later.
Right.
Do you think that, getting way off topic here, that Naveen Andrews would make a good James Bond?
That's a good point.
I can't stand his regular speaking voice, so no.
Oh.
I don't know why. Yeah. Whatever accent he has naturally, like the Sayid one, totally palatable, but whatever is natural, he just sounds, I don't know.
Maybe
don't like it
because you're not used to it.
Yeah, probably.
It's probably true.
I was just throwing it out there.
I'm buying.
We only see him as Sayid, so that's all we,
Right.
Yeah, unfortunately, all of the actors from Lost, as you guys have talked about before, they've all been so tight casted now. It's very hard to see any of these guys in roles outside of these characters that we love. But that's just how it is in Hollywood. Yeah, I'd still would take one great show and be known for one thing than never being known for anything at all. Right. So
yes,
it's not like they were on the Brady Bunch, and
yeah.
You're always going to be Jan Brady or Marsha Brady or Peter and the rest. So at least they were on a good show. Not that the Brady Bunch. I mean, okay, I enjoyed the Brady Bunch as a kid.
It's not Lost. Come on, though.
No, and those poor kids aren't getting anything residuals. They don't get any checks or anything. So
true,
nothing. But so we enjoy. Do we enjoy the episode? I like it because you got a lot of Miles in this episode. Wasn't this one or the next one?
No, Miles is pretty prominent in this one. As a matter of fact, one of the key lines that I wrote in my original notes from back in the day on my site was that Miles tells Jack, and this is pretty early on, that their mutual problem is going to be this Locke guy. Right. So I like when we kind of get this foreshadowing to later on in what's happening. But because you got to realize that Miles says to him, because he's already split up their happy family in half. Mm-hmm. But let's remember something. Boone tells Locke in the episode further instructions that he has to bring the family back together. So for some reason, I always kind of kept those two nods together because I'm like, that's telling, again, we see that Locke is that I'm trying to find my way again, but yet he's not getting it how to do it. So he has a purpose to bring the family back together, but yet he's already split them up.
Well, Ben points out he doesn't know what to do.
Right. You're always hitting a dead end and whatever. Yep. But we'll get to that when we get to the next episode.
Yeah. Well, when they were walking, though, wasn't he telling him, you don't know what to do? You're
just wandering, or you're looking for answers or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a big part of course, Locke's storyline, especially in this part of his moment on the island, is that he's on this mission. He is so focused on it. And then he gets to this point now where he doesn't know what to do. He hasn't gotten instructions from Walt or anybody, any other entity from the island. And now he's very confused. And as we love Locke to death, but obviously we know this is a guy who just makes so many mistakes time and time again. And this is one of these where his heart's in the right place. He really feels that these people are not there to help him, but yet he doesn't know which direction to go. And it's kind of sad. It really is sad to watch.
It's one of the few times he's right.
Yeah, of course, he's definitely right. It's just sad for me to watch him knowing that he doesn't know for sure how to fix things. Because, he wants to fix just like everybody. Everybody wants to fix things. He wants to fix this. He wants to keep them safe. He wants to keep the island safe, but he doesn't know what to do. So it's kind of hard to watch as someone who loves Locke, but knowing that the reason why I love him is also because he's so flawed.
Right. That's exactly the reason. And, they're all just trying to find their way, but Locke feels... he was already told this, you'll be in charge of the island. So now he's like, now I have this big responsibility, this big purpose. So everything I'm going to do is for the benefit of the island. Now I just don't know what to do with it. So, but it's a problem because he's already split up the castaways as a family into different groups. So,
yeah, I really love that we talked about the family aspect. That's really, really good.
Yeah. Well, that's what you become in that life situation where it is only 49 of you or 50 of you, whatever. And you have to rely on each other. You have to have each other's backs. So it is a family. And Locke always wanted to be part of a family.
Right.
That is so that's pretty important.
Do you think Locke could have been in charge of the island without it blowing up, or?
Okay, that's a great question. I like to think though is as many mistakes that we've seen him make. I think because his heart is so into his love for this island, because it's meant so much to him, because his life's been a wreck, and obviously these people and this place is so important to him. I feel like he would have been fine as being the next Jacob, but I don't know. He wouldn't have been top on my list just because of what we have seen him do. But
there's so
I like
many
to
things
believe there's a world where he could do well.
There's so many things in his way that are preventing him from being this wonderful leader. Again, the tripping up and the not learning to let go of certain things. See, obviously, that's why he keeps hitting these walls, because he's still attached to the things that are causes him his own suffering. He's you can't move on till you let go of those things. So that's why he keeps hitting brick walls and stuff. So until he learns, I can let go and move on from whatever the situation is, the daddy issues, the betrayals and all that, he's not going to fully understand and make room on his path to go to the next thing that he needs to do.
Yeah, because his trouble has always been that lack of confidence because of how he was raised and all the things in his life that has brought him to this point. And without that confidence, it would be kind of hard for him to run the island.
Right. At this point, with this amount of
especially at this point.
Knowledge. Yeah.
Anyway,
I could tell Joel's excited to get to the next episode because we get to talk about Kate a lot.
Oh yes,
but do you, maybe I always thought Locke would be he'd be a good number 2 guy. He needed someone. He needed someone to give him guidance and someone to be. He was always a good foot soldier, but he had this dream. He always wanted to be more than what he was capable of being.
Right. So until he relinquishes or comes to some reality about what his role should have been or could have been, I should say, because if you remember again, when you go back to the episode when he's, on the ranch there picking, stuff off trees and stuff, he's telling the kid there that he believes he's a hunter. But he's not. Things keep happening to make him not be a hunter. Right. So he always wants to be something he's really not. So until you understand who you really are, can you find your purpose?
Yeah, and a lot of our characters had to go that same journey, but he was definitely probably one of the top ones for sure that had to learn that lesson. Yeah.
He never found his special purpose. Is that what we're saying?
It took him a while.
It's from.
Yeah. I'm older than you, Jack.
Nobody's that old. But what do we think about the side story where Saeed he kills the guy on the golf? What was his name?
Peter Avellino.
Avellino kills that guy, leaves him just flopped on the golf course. But then he hooks up with Elsa.
Yes. In Germany.
Yes.
Yes, in Berlin. And I mean, I always try to put myself in my mindset, of course, of how I was thinking about immediately when I watched these episodes from the first time. I don't really get exactly a call, but I do think that right away I knew that, this was definitely a ploy. He was trying to, of course, set this girl up. I felt like that was pretty obvious, if I recall. But of course, your mind is immediately spinning like, now what is this girl? What does she have to do with what he's trying to do? So many questions starts popping in your head immediately as soon as they sit down and start having their conversation. And then the whole time you're trying to pick up information like, okay, where are they at? What's going on here?
They were very vague about a lot of things. I have a boss. Sure. I have a boss. I do this. I do that. But nobody's committing to what they do.
Sorry, my son Sawyer had to pop in.
That's okay. So we're getting a whole lot of nothing, but we are getting something. That these people have secret lives. They have secrets.
Yeah.
So, but what are they?
Yes. So at any point during the episode, do you guys recall back in the first time this show, when the episode ran, when you watched it, did you have an idea at all who both parties were working for, or was it?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I don't think I had any idea either.
No.
It was, which of course makes the ending of this episode fantastic.
Absolutely.
Because it's like, what? That's who he's working for? It was pretty crazy.
And the best thing is they didn't drag it out.
No, that's true.
If this had been season 2 or 3, we wouldn't have found out for like 6-7 episodes. We found out right away. It's like they even tried to disguise Ben's voice, but obviously we've seen it 100 times. So we go, okay, it's Ben, but
don't get me wrong. There was still the frustration for the fans because they had to wait until the entire season 4 was over to even find out how the Oceanic 6 became the Oceanic 6.
Right.
That's true.
Right.
Still had us going, Jack. Don't worry. They still had us
We're just learning bits and pieces of who is an Oceanic 6.
Right.
So we're just piecing that part of the puzzle.
Yes, that's true. At that point, you still don't even know.
Right. We're still like, what does that mean? What does that mean? 6 on one of the Oceanic 6. And then you have to wait a long time till you realize it means 6 people or 6,
Yeah.
So,
I'm sure there was speculation that they were talking about 6 people at this point by the time you finish The Economist, but you don't know who it is and how that happened. I mean, so there was still frustration, Jack.
Well, it's lots. There's always going to be frustration.
That's right.
Right.
People are still frustrated today, 10 years later, or whatever it's been. But yeah, it's all these moments with him playing this assassin was so much fun to watch. But it was kind of hard to see the Elsa stuff because, this is another critical episode to show us one of Saeed's flaws, but also what makes him great is his ability to love.
Yes.
And, unlike Elsa, who still was able to play this game and not have those emotionals. I think she had a little emotion. We can argue about that if you want to, but not obviously for him. I mean, he was ready
He falls in love.
He falls in love with her.
Falls in love. You can. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what was so wonderful and tragic and interesting watching all this play out. And man, I don't know about you guys, but when we do get to that end and she shoots him, I remember like at the time going, no, because you're thinking, oh my God, is he dead or something?
Right.
Obviously not, but I mean, oh my God, my heart was racing. And I think every time I watch that scene, it's still kind of like, even though I know it doesn't end poorly for him, I just you
mentioned the bullet for a second, so I kind of want to interject a little observation too from back in the day. Saeed does not have the bullet scar where Mikhail shot him.
Yeah,
when
I was
enter 7-7, but then Elsa shoots him. So,
Yeah.
And that brings me up to the point about are things like the bullet wound, the bracelet in this episode. Songs, vans, cats. We see a cat that that's called Nadia. So there's things, and I brought up back in the day that are these triggers to make them remember something? Are there triggers to make them have a flash to connect to a life experience to make them these life experiences that we see them go through in these flashes and what's happening on island, they're connected. So there's always something to make them connected. And it's usually something visual, like
that's like a Jacob
box on a
influence?
table. Huh? Excuse
Do you
me?
think that's like a Jacob influence where he's trying to nudge them in the right direction? Like, I can't really think of what other logical reason there would be for those triggers to be put in there.
Well, that could be, but also we've talked about this before too, Joel, about just even the show showing us that things are connected. People are connected, the connectivity of it all. But I feel like because they're always in a state of, again, me getting off my tangent is that, well, I own it. Because they're always in a state of being told to wake up, which that's where we always get. That's why I always on, they're on a journey to an awakening and enlightenment. So with all those hints in there, if they're on this adventure for a specific reason or part of a purpose, there's little triggers to make you have a flash so that you can remember what caused your suffering, how you can grow from it. Because if you really look back, you could see certain things that happened in the past seasons of what all of a sudden made somebody kind of have a little wake up.
Sure.
So there's like these little triggers that happen. So Richard says season 4 moves things along so quickly, but yes, still with the mystery box that remains unopened.
That's very true.
Yes.
I want to go back to Elsa for a second because, we said how he falls in love, Saeed just falls deeply in love. So should Elsa have been part of the equation at the end where it was Nadia, people wanted Nadia or Shannon? Should Elsa have been thrown into the mix?
No.
At the final thing? No. She doesn't count.
Just straight up no.
No.
Don't hold back. I'm just throwing it. I'm not doing it.
I always tell it how I feel. So no.
Yeah.
I still feel that Shannon was the right one for that call, even though many people don't agree that many people wanted Nadia to be at the end, but I understand why.
It just seemed like a more meaningful. Nadia felt like a more meaningful relationship for Saeed than Shannon.
But it's the person he was in love with his entire life. I mean, right. That is his
yes.
But
the
love.
point, where I came from with that was, we have to take the island adventure, and if this is about an awakening and enlightenment, they were reunited with the people that helped them reach that part of enlightenment.
True.
And for him, it happened on the island with Shannon.
Yeah.
Sure. So that's why and Shannon also, it was Saeed that helped her move on to the next level.
Yeah, I can't argue it. I always like Nadia. I always like Nadia over Shannon. So that was.
I know. I love her as
they had to get her back in the finale somehow.
Yeah.
they made an adorable couple, but we have to stick to the part of what happens on the island and what makes these people grow and get to the next part.
Stays on the island.
Yeah.
It's all about the rebirth. So it was Shannon who helped him get there.
Yeah. I think these are fun conversations to have, though. I mean, because also this is a television show, and you're not going to have that final moment, that final scene with someone that you go, who is that again? Or something like that. So for television reasons, obviously, also, and for the overall narrative, I think it kind of just makes sense to have Shannon there. But it's a fun argument to have.
Exactly.
Because I feel like when you look at Elsa, I mean, obviously, yes, he definitely falls in love with this woman. But once she shoots him, I feel like that love is kind of dips down a lot.
That's a deal breaker.
It puts a real damper in a person's relationship.
She didn't kill him.
No, I
right?
know. No, but let's be fair. She didn't kill him because her boss wanted to find out who he was and who he's working for.
Exactly.
So,
or there might have been a little love there. You don't know. Just
a little bit. I'm on board with that. I feel like there was something there, but not enough for her to.
I think we've all seen enough movies where somebody is told to do something on a dare or whatever, and then the people end up falling in love, and then they have to apologize later because, I was doing it for this nefarious reason, but I really did love you. The feelings were true.
Yeah.
Give me a tissue. I do like there was a scene where they see the picture of Desmond. Naomi had a picture of Desmond and Penny.
Yeah.
So Jack sends Juliet to the beach, and with Kate sitting right there, and I don't know if it was planned, but it's like Evangeline Lilly's just kind of staring off into space as the scenes get. It's like, yeah, I got to sit here. There's probably 100 takes of this thing, and she's just like, there's no. She's not doing anything. It's just sitting there. You think she'd look and see what they're talking about? No, she's just staring off into space. Like, oh, can we just hurry up and finish this scene? That's what I got out of it.
She was doing another flashback in her head that we just didn't get to see.
Could be. Good point. Good point, Joel. Could be.
What was Kate thinking? So
another flashback episode we didn't need to see. For Kate.
Joel, come on.
It's the flashback where she's running and lying and killing people. So yeah, that was right.
Well, she was prepping for the flashback she's going to have, or the flash forward in the next episode. So
I just thought it was odd. I mean, just thought it was odd. And then we have Jack wants Kate to go with Saeed and Miles, which I thought, So he still trusts her.
Yeah.
And I like the conversation they had. Oh, is it weird to be on the other side? Being left behind. He goes, I probably just a little left you out. It was a good give and take, I thought.
Yeah.
Between the two.
Absolutely.
And then Locke can't find the cabin, and he's freaking out.
Right. But he needs a map. So
yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's hard, when you're trying to find it in a cabin that doesn't say put, Yeah,
it is true.
But here's the thing with Locke trying to find, again, this is the metaphor of him trying to find his way. Locke was already exposed to the blast door map, and he was, if you remember, he sees it, but yet a couple episodes later, or the episode after, he's trying to redraw it. And then he has to draw a map for Echo to go somewhere. And then, so it's all these maps. And so metaphorically, he's needing direction. But he's still so lost. So he's constantly trying to find maps and a path and a way. Mm-hmm. So he's someone who, and I'm jumping ahead, but, Jacob says at the end, sometimes you could just, jump in a cab and tell someone what they got to do. And other times you got to let them look out at the ocean and figure it out. Well, Locke's in a place where he's got to try to figure it out. But he's constantly grasping for some sort of help. And we're getting it for him in a form of maps.
Yeah. You know what they needed on the island? A mortars map, just like in Harry Potter. At least that way you could see, like, the dots could show you where Jacob is and where the Man in Black is, and where the cabin is. It would be so helpful.
So we could cut it from 6 seasons to 1, right? If they just had.
But don't you feel like
good point? Yeah, you're right. That would ruin the seasons.
Don't you think there's times though that although John is again the bumbling one and still trying to find his way, that there's still a part of him that kind of thrives on things being a little tougher than they should. They're a little harder than they should. It's
why he wants to prove himself.
Right. So again,
if it's easy, he's like, he wants to do some things that other people
something special to make him special.
Yeah, they can't do. But he
like go on a walkabout while in a wheelchair.
Exactly.
Right.
Don't tell me what I can't do.
Right. He's got to come out of it special and
it's going to be
momentous
because he never had his parents he had terrible parents. There was never the
approval
stuff, and here's your participation trophy. He had none of that, so it was like he's looking for someone's approval. He like you said, he wants to be part of a family, just wants to be loved. I mean, everything he's doing, there's nothing wrong with what he wants,
right?
But again, we've all said the way he goes about it is just wrong. He's stubborn. He doesn't listen to anybody. Because now, I'll wait till the next episode because that's in the next episode. But I do like when Daniel starts his experiment, and you have Jack goes to Lapidus. What's he doing? He goes, I never know what he's doing, and half of it goes over my head. The other half, I don't even pay attention. Whatever he said, it was like he basically doesn't. He can't understand him.
Dan's doing these lovely experiments.
Right. And then we find out later on. And then we go, and Hurley is locked up. Hurley is locked up in the closet. They find him. At the time, did we know this was when you guys first saw this, did you think, okay, this is a trap, or is it just because we do have this? Because we do have the scene early on where Hurley is arguing with Locke.
I'll answer honestly. I do not believe I thought that was a trap because of what I know about Hurley. I just feel like, to me, he didn't seem like the kind of person who would go along with something to friends. So I was really surprised when it's revealed that this whole thing was a trap to get them. I will admit, at the time, I was blown away, and even still today, I kind of like thinking, really, would Hurley really do this? I don't know. It is
out of character for Hurley to do something like that.
Well, there was a lot of game playing going on. There's kind of like this game going on, like chess or something. You know, it had that feel to it, where there's a little bit of trying to play each other and trap each other, and so it was like a chess game almost. So a lot of that element there.
It was we've done a lot of Locke bashing in this episode, but this was actually a smart move on Locke's part.
Right.
It really was. It was actually very clever. And like I was gonna say, Hurley is the perfect decoy, because if you're going to have someone that you want to feel like they can trust and like would believe, right, of someone who would be like, all right, guys, I don't know if I'm going along with this, because like you said, they already set up the scene before that, showing that Hurley's not really liking what Locke's saying, and probably really is questioning whether or not he should have joined Locke.
Right. What side should I take? What side did I take the right side? Yeah.
So it was a really brilliant plan done by Locke. I'll give him that.
Well, the episodes before, Hurley is when he's in the insane asylum and Jack visits him. He says, "I'm sorry, I went with Locke."
Yes.
And we're like going, I remember at the time going, well, why was he sorry?
Right.
And so what Richard said, it fooled me back then, and I think it fooled me again on this rewatch. It's been so long, or too long.
Absolutely. I think if you go long enough and hasn't seen this episode in a while, you probably are going to get fooled by it. Because of what you know about Hurley, it did kind of seem hard to believe that, he was part of this awesome ruse to get them to trap them. So,
well, who else would? I mean, it wouldn't have worked with anybody else.
That's true. That's probably true. I don't think they would have been buying it if anybody else was in there.
Right. Anyway, and then the payload arrives, the one that Daniel was waiting for, and it was 31 minutes difference.
Right. Dun, dun, dun.
Again, you're talking about frustration. Okay, what does that mean?
Right. But yet there was no delay when he's talking on the radio. So what does that mean? That's just telling us again that there's some sort of mystical, magical anomaly that happens with the island.
Yes, it was.
So when they were talking on the radio, they were talking at different times. Like, wasn't it a different time on the freighter? But it was still the back and forth was still going at the same time. But weren't they at a different time of day?
That didn't happen yet, I think.
No. Okay.
Right? Did the doctor die on the freighter? You ready? No, the doctor didn't die on the freighter yet. So that didn't happen.
We haven't been to the freighter yet. So
yeah.
No, that didn't happen because this is the third episode. So we still know very little with what's going on that ship at all. Okay.
Right. We just know that there's this magical, mystical thing that the island possesses. And it's funny because Dan had at some point will mention that the light doesn't scatter quite right either. So that we get another nod to some sort of, but that's in another episode, but still it's like something different. So, okay. So they're trying to tell us that the island really isn't what we think it is.
Right.
Those hints are there all the time. So whatever we think the island is, it's not.
Well, he even tells Lapita stay on the exact course.
Right.
Because because things happen and we find out the helicopter hasn't, well, according to the freighter, has not arrived yet. So with Lapidus. Juliet returns with Desmond. That's kind of, I guess, heartwarming. But then I think what's more important is Saeed finds the hidden room with the passports and cash, the different currencies and different passports, different clothing. And we're like going, okay, Ben has different does he get off the island whenever he wants?
Well, that's what we're all thinking at this point.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now he's got many identities, and now he's got. So he's not just island bound ever.
Yeah.
Right.
That really is a big reveal, isn't it? When
it
you
is.
Think about it. It's a huge reveal to how much this guy is got influence not only on the island but obviously off the island. So
because you don't need cash and passports to be on the island.
Yeah, and he has money from everywhere. He has
it's different currency. Yeah, so it's like
because he said he was in Tunisia before, right?
Yes.
When he goes, okay.
Yeah, he says, like we're to assume he's been there many times. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it was around this point where my mind really starts to change a lot about Benjamin and what I thought about him because, the more and more I learn about him, and maybe it's because of my love for bad guys. I just love villains.
We have a lot to learn from bad guys, though.
By this point, I'm slowly, if I recall, learning. I'm starting to really love this guy and wanting to more and more about him. And it was this is just another moment where you're like, you get this, and then you get the big reveal at the end about who Saeed's working for, and you're like, wow, what is this guy?
Well,
he's everywhere.
We said Locke was right, but also Ben was right. That the people on the freighter were not there to rescue; they were there to do harm.
Well, because Ben is one of the few people, of course, that does know exactly who's on that, or who that freighter is being controlled by. So, yeah, he knows exactly what's going on. That's the thing that's so great is that the whole time we're watching this, none of us at the time knew this is just a battle again between Ben and Widmore. Thank you. Yes. Sorry, Widmore. It's the whole time, but we don't know this yet. Right. And it, of course, takes time to figure all that out. But it's so great when you rewatch it because you're like going, yeah, it's this great battle between these two and having control of the island. Still, after all this time, who wants to be in charge of this island?
Because it's a magical island.
It's a wonderful place.
It does great things. I do like the conversation between Locke when he comes in there and Ben's locked up, and of course Locke is pouring iced tea for Saeed, and he goes, "Well, Ben goes, I'm thirsty."
Yeah. Hey, what about me? I'm over here. There's so many great one-liners all throughout Lost, but that was obviously there's so many times where Ben would say something and I can't help but laugh.
Yeah, it broke up it broke up a serious scene, but it was funny, and of course Locke just looks at him. Because to me Ben always gets the best of Locke. He just knows exactly how to push poor Locke's buttons, and we see in the next episode it only gets
and it throughout the entire season or show. Series, it's always been that way, and that's because Ben, he knows a lot about Locke, and he knows how, like you say, he knows how to use them. So,
now, in this scene that we're talking about, John shares with Saeed that Ben says he has a spy on the boat. That's when he tells that to Saeed, and Saeed wants to know who, of course, and Ben says it's a secret. So Ben is there, and Saeed says, "Forgive me, but the day I start trusting him is the day I would have sold my soul."
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But yet you're right. That's exactly what we're seeing. That if he's talking about Ben, that's exactly what he did for a while. He worked for Ben, and whatever had to happen.
True. That's true.
So he says that.
And I agree. That line makes the reveal of the episode even more powerful.
Right. So that's important.
Why in the world would he be like working for him when you just saw that scene?
Right.
Well, that was a huge cliffhanger too, because we're like we said in the beginning, what? How is he working? Come on, no way.
Right.
Yeah.
Like they know each other off the island. We're wondering, how do they know each other off the island? When is this?
But we did see the passports and cash that Ben had, so we know that now that he gets off the island. Yeah.
Right.
But he says he's one of the Oceanic Six earlier. So
sure. Yeah.
But how are they now connecting there outside the island life?
Yeah. It's all just fantastic writing, great storytelling to be able to set all those pieces up to get to where we're at the very end there, and then still have you wondering, well, then how do we get there?
Can you be a hitman if you're that famous? I mean,
I'm gonna go with no.
It's almost like Magnum PI, where you're driving around the red Ferrari telling people nobody notices it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he's hiding in plain sight. It's like nobody would suspect him because he is famous.
Well, I also remember when she sees him at the coffee shop in Berlin, she obviously kind of recognized him. She was trying to figure out who, and that's when he goes, well,
she says,
"Take
who
me
are
to
you?
dinner,
Yeah.
and I will tell you who I am."
Yeah. With my great hair.
That's how you get a free meal.
And a map to tour Berlin.
Berlin, yes, for sure.
Well, we get
stuff.
to the part where where Elsa shoots Saeed.
Yeah.
And then she starts talking to somebody that she works for, which is a mistake. And then she comes out and Saeed, he kills her.
Yeah.
And he crawls over to her.
He had no choice.
I get it, but
it was still heartbreaking, though.
Yes.
I thought it's very hard because like we just said earlier about the fact that clearly Saeed was in love with her, and so that made it really, really hard to watch because you could see how devastated he was in his face. You could tell in his emotions.
Saeed returns with Charlotte, and Frank goes, "Where's Miles?" He goes, "Well, I had to make the deal was I return with Charlotte." He goes, "You cheated." He goes, "Well, he goes,
I made a trade."
You made a trade, and he goes, "That's okay. That Miles is a pain in my back, pain in my ball." Whatever he said.
Yeah, he said he's pain in his ass. I love Frank, by the way.
Yeah, Frank Lapidus is great.
Oh, he's awesome.
And then we see
needed more Frank, didn't we?
We did.
I loved Frank Chesty.
Yeah. That's right.
And then we see Saeed and Desmond go into the helicopter. And then we get the big reveal at the end. Ben takes the bullet out. Well, he's taking the bullet out. Now, is Ben a doctor? I mean, it's just, do we just trust? Okay, I got no choice.
Ben's
he's a doctor, but we learn later on that he's a doctor, but he's a teacher. He has a doctorate. So he has a doctorate, but now he's a medical doctor, so we're getting different forms of the word doctor, doc, because
it looks like it looks like Saeed's in like in a veterinarian hospital, because a lot of times in movies where the bad guy gets shot, it's a veterinarian that takes the bullet out. So I remember the first time watching, I go, okay, it's going to be a veterinarian that's going to take the bullet out because he's working. You can't go to a hospital if you've been shot because police will be notified. But I go, oh, I remember at the time going, oh my God, and going, all right, why are they working together? Because, like you said earlier, I wouldn't sell my soul or whatever he said.
Yeah.
But I loved that when that scene starts, that the voice we hear is just muffled enough where you're like, who is that? And then, so I love that they did that it wasn't just smack right in our faces that it was Ben. We had a second to just hang on it.
Maybe Ben was disguising his voice until Saeed took off his shirt so you could see he wasn't wearing a wire. Maybe that was it.
Maybe. Very possible.
Maybe.
Just throwing it out there for arguments. But that was the episode. What did we think of it?
I loved it. It's definitely my favorite between the two of them. And I thought it was interesting when I look back to see this is an episode that aired on Valentine's Day. So this was love that didn't work out too well.
Broken heart. He did shoot her in the heart, right?
Yeah.
Well, he had to.
Yeah.
Now, I did find one other line that I found to be a little bit of a nod to our future. And that was when, I'm trying to read my own notes, Sawyer talks to Ben, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't even matter when, but the line he uses is when talking about John Locke, shoot off his toe. So there's a nod to John's connection to the four-toed foot, and just a little nod to the future for us.
Oh, good. Yeah, good point.
And that's what's great when you do these rewatches, right? Is because there's so many cool little things like that if you're paying attention and you pick up on that was nods there from the entire
Yeah, it was right
time.
there. Yep.
Yeah, that's what's great. I love
I'm
that.
just glad I took good notes back in the day because that's the only thing I have to go on. I rewatched the episode, but I go back and read my own website, and I'm like, okay, at least I remembered that. And I'm like, oh yes, now when I watch, it's like it's right there.
Yeah,
so
I didn't even think
there's
about
a little
that.
foreshadowing to the future, a little bit of that.
Yeah, it's great.
Because I like that. Because John made a good point. Because when you tell Sawyer, he goes, just shoot him in his little toe, and I go, his toe, and I'm like going, and then John says, well, then we'd have to carry him.
Yeah. Then we'd have to carry him.
So I said, good job.
Right.
Good job.
Shoot him in the foot.
Shoot him in the foot. Next up, we have it'll be Joel's favorite episode, like you said, Karen. It's all about Kate.
Which flashback was this?
Okay, can I interject for a second? Even though this is a Kate episode, there is so much about Locke in this episode.
Oh, yeah.
It's so Locke heavy that I'm almost like, I feel like it's not even split down the middle. We get a whole bunch about Kate, but there's so much more about Locke's evolution in this episode.
Well, it also answered a question I think most of us had from the beginning. If they ever got rescued, how was Kate going to go back? Why would she leave the island? Because she's going to go to jail. Well, this answered the question, how she got out of jail.
Right.
How she avoided, going to prison. So,
she always has a story.
Right.
Yeah,
but anyway.
Absolutely. Because, you had that wonderful moment when it's discussed about, because it's a big question, like when Sawyer and Kate are having that conversation together about, why would you want to go back? You're facing prison, time.
Right.
And with this episode, like you said, with the flash forward, obviously we get to find out what that outcome is. And it really, things start becoming clear. If anybody at this point doesn't realize we're looking at a flash forward, then I don't know what you're watching at this point, because now it's really starting to become clear there's a flash forward and you get to see exactly what happens. Now, of course, we don't know why, how come Kate was one of the ones that did get off the island, but those points. But I love that part because, Sawyer's trying to get her to realize is that, what do you have back there that's worth this? Right. The island should be more important to you. It's more important to me to be here, and that was just a wonderful moment I have. But you're right. This episode kind of puts us in that seat. So
because Sawyer doesn't believe he has anything waiting for him at home either.
Right.
So he'd rather just set up, play, what they said, what are we going to do? Play house? How long do you think that would last?
Yeah.
So
it's great because all these characters all have such different ideas about what they really want. Jack thinks so bad still at this point that he wants to get him and everyone off this island when, Jack, maybe you shouldn't get off the island.
Yeah. If I'm Kate, I'm telling you right now, if I'm Kate and I have that hanging over, I don't leave the island.
I know. I'm thinking,
there's no way. I don't roll the dice leaving the island. There's no way.
I'm going to spend the rest of my life killing boar and chopping coconuts out of trees. I'm not going back.
Right.
And she
doesn't have to run there.
No.
Listen,
right.
If Jack's willing to go and Sawyer's willing to stay, there you go, Kate. You got the guy. Now you know which one to go with.
Right. But then she'd be like, "Oh, maybe I should have went with Jack."
We got to go back for him.
Never happy.
We have to go back. We have to go back for him.
Yeah.
But I like this.
The episode starts off with Locke, so that's good.
Yeah, and you have Locke making, cracking 2 eggs, and he smells the eggs, and
right. The theme of the episode is eggs.
Right. He cuts up cantaloupe, so he walks down, and he's got Ben in there, and then Ben's playing head games with him. And as you said, Karen, 100 times, Locke just cannot let things go. That's why he's so easy to be manipulated.
Yep.
And then you done with that? Takes it and
he's
slams
frustrated. He's so frustrated.
But then he also
why does he give Ben the joy of hearing him get pissed off? Walk down the hall or whatever, and then throw the tray. Why are you gonna do it right outside the door?
Yeah, never let them see they've won.
Yeah.
I would love to play poker with John. Because I would take all his money.
Oh my God, that would be so fantastic. Yeah.
But it was another great. It's like, God, how do you not? It's my frustration with John Locke, and I understand why but it's like, okay, like you're saying, Joel. Okay, even though he got the best of you on that, okay, I want to take the breakfast. You don't want to eat. We'll talk later. Go up there and throw your hissy fit up in the, outside or something like that. But I was like, oh my God, I just
go scream into a pillow or something. Don't give him the pleasure.
Yeah.
But Ben also says in that scene that he acknowledges that John is evolving. So
Yes.
John is going through some changes. So to a different John, does that different John mean a bad John or a negative John? Or does it mean one that's growing and, reaching his next level of awakening? So where are we? But John, it's acknowledged that John is definitely evolving.
The only problem with John is he in this episode, what bothered me is he's running a dictatorship.
Right.
And when he was season 3, when Nikki and Paulo were still alive, they go along. Nikki, he goes, I'm not running it like Jack. But then he says, I'm not running this like Jack.
Right.
Jack, no, wait, hold on. It's not a dictatorship because otherwise he would have just shot him and left.
Yeah.
He says, if it was a dictatorship, I'd just shoot you.
Yeah. And Kate just kind of looks at him.
No,
like,
you're right. He says he's not being like Jack, but he clearly is. I mean, he's
right.
He's trying to control everything.
And it didn't make sense because, like I said, that one episode, he's saying I'm not like Jack, and here he is. Like, okay, I'm not like Jack, but you can't have it both ways.
Maybe he's just trying on the Jack hat to see if that works. If maybe he could find his way if he was more like Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Kate is in court, and we still don't know that she has Aaron.
Right.
We find out she has a child. Like, okay, when did she get a child? How long have they been off the island? I mean, what's going on? I can tell you that it didn't. It never clicked because when I first heard when Kate and Jack in season 3, she says, "I have to go. We have to go back," and he goes, "Look, I got to get home. He's waiting for me." Or I think we all thought it was Sawyer at the time.
Right.
Absolutely.
Did. Yep.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and then when we finally hear the word, that she realizes she does have a kid, then of course that's just messing with your mind more because you're thinking, oh, wait a minute, hold on, did she get pregnant with Sawyer? Did she get pregnant with Jack? And that's what we're all assuming, right, at that point, is that she got pregnant at some point right before she got off the island and had one of these guys' kids. And then when we do get to the big reveal, of course, it's like, what?
Well, I got to be honest. When I was first watching this episode, I assumed it had to be because Kate's in bed with Sawyer. She slaps him when she leaves, but because he makes the Jack comment, "Oh, when you're tired of Jack, you'll come crawling back to my bed." Yeah. And he's not wrong.
No, he's right.
He's not
wrong.
She plays ping pong with those guys. It's ping pong.
I feel like the writers did a very good job. Even when I did my rewatch, I feel like the writers did a good job, though, hiding the fact that she's talking about Aaron and not.
Oh yeah, I had no idea.
Because even that scene, not to jump too far ahead, but the scene right before we get the big reveal, where she actually has that conversation with Jack in the garage, parking garage. Even then, I'm sticking for sure. Oh my God, it's his kid. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. I felt like that during the watch of this episode.
You thought it was Jack's kid or Sawyer's kid?
Jack's kid. Sorry, yeah. At that point, we're hearing that conversation. I'm thinking it's Jack's kid, but maybe not necessarily. I don't know. I think I went through a lot of emotions trying to remember how I felt.
I thought it was Sawyer. They meant Sawyer because he said he didn't want to be in the same. He didn't want to be in the house with the baby, and he says, "Well, we could have coffee somewhere." He goes, "Look, Jack, if you can accept him."
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So I kept thinking, I go, "Well, it's got to be Sawyer's kid," and Jack's just mad because that's Jack. But anyway.
I have to admit, I honestly don't recall exactly what I was thinking, but I can tell you one thing. When I first watched that, I certainly wasn't thinking it was Aaron. I certainly was not thinking it was Aaron.
I had no clue.
No, we had no idea that she was going to end up a substitute mother.
Right.
And it's, again, this episode is Eggtown, and this is we get acknowledged that she's definitely not pregnant on the island, which to me means, okay, so there's no rebirth for her right now. That answers that question. Again, the metaphor of life, death, and rebirth, Well, she's not pregnant, so she's not achieving her rebirth yet. But yet we discover that she is this substitute mom off the island. So she's trying to have that rebirth, but it's not happening yet.
Well, they also do a good job when her and Claire are hanging up laundry. Erin's crying, and she goes, "Can you pick him up?" And she's like going, "No, it's a baby. I can't touch it." Elizabeth says in the chat, that's one reason I never really liked Kate that much. A lot of people didn't like Kate for that reason.
I feel like there's a lot of reasons why people like it.
Is it fair? Is it fair to Kate, or is it the writers more than Kate? You know?
No, it's Kate. Kate's fault.
But see, they wrote every character so that we would have these very passionate, we either were drawn to them or we're not, likes, dislikes, love, not, so I love that the writers gave us these types of deep characters that are
That's one of the
just
reasons
like,
why something like Lost worked and some other show tried
they're
to pick
just
up
like us.
Myth out on it.
Right. Exactly. These characters are just like us. And that's why we relate. Some of us relate to one more than the other. But for Kate, here she is, we know she's always has to be in the middle of everything, and she's got to be in everybody's business and all that. But a lot of people don't really like that.
Yeah.
Well,
raising this
child,
I think, is extremely important for her character, and because she, just like everyone, she wants something to love. I mean, she obviously again another person that had terrible upbringing,
right?
And this child means so much to her. It was just hard at the time because you're thinking, but it's not your child, and it's I don't know. It was interesting. So go ahead.
Right,
Jack,
but she didn't want to leave motherless.
You basically said what I was going to say, that she had terrible parents, and so that's why she's probably in everybody's business, is because she's almost like John Locke.
Mm-hmm.
She needs that, love me, accept me,
and be a part of something, be a part of things, and
But anyway,
can we speculate for just a second? I always like when we talk about the whole thing with Kate and her involvement, of course, with Erin, and she obviously raises Erin for quite a bit of time off the island, and then the only reason we're told that she wants to go back is to make sure that Erin has her mother. I think that at some point, once Claire gets her head straight, I feel like Kate's going to help her with Erin. But do you guys like to pretend there is a world where Kate does eventually have her own child?
Yeah.
Her own baby to love. I kind of like to feel that way, because she's obviously had so much growth, by the time she gets off the island.
I would think she'd almost have to, because how you would have that void in your life.
Yeah, it's a major void in her life, and okay, she's reunited, a mother, but now she can have her own.
Right, she could be nurturing. She could be nurturing.
I feel like, to me, it seems very clear that that's probably what happened to her, but again, we're just speculating.
Well, you can see that she obviously had issues with her mom, because even when the mom will say, "I won't testify if you let me see my grandson," you're not going anywhere near him.
Right.
What a powerful scene that was, too, wasn't it?
Yeah, yes. It was.
I was like, wow.
I mean, here's a scene. Here's okay, Kate. You could not go to jail. You can spend the rest of your life with your baby if you just let your mom see her grandson.
Yeah,
you're dying,
that would mean she wouldn't have to run.
Right.
She doesn't know how to live without having to run.
Yeah. Right. It's a habit she's holding on to. It's a trait and a habit she's holding on to, Joel. That is the point. When we get in these habits in life, or these cycles of what we're used to, these comfort zones we put ourselves in, even though they're not healthy comfort zones, you don't know how to break out of that. She does not know how to break out of that.
Now, and even when she makes the plea deal, she can't leave the state for 10 years?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's a big state, California, but still, when you're like Kate, you keep saying, and Joel, you brought up, she has to run, she has to be on the move.
Right.
But I think she's been grounded with Erin. I think she goes, okay, I don't have to.
Having a kid's like being grounded. That's true.
It's like an anchor.
It's an easy deal. I think it's an easy deal for her, because at this point right now, she doesn't think she's going back to the island for any reason. So her life right now is to raise this child.
Right.
So it makes
That's
a lot of
her
sense
purpose.
that she makes that deal. That's her new purpose.
So did she break that deal then when she went back to the island?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
She did.
And then so when she goes back, you think she has to have another trial, or
There's a
Probably.
warrant out for her arrest and everything.
She
That's
comes
actually a good
back.
point.
We didn't see it, but she comes back with Squirrel Baby, and she says,
Okay.
I'm raising this. It can't survive without me," and all that stuff.
do you think
So they
if she
said-
had a kid after the island, do you think maybe it was Sawyer's? Do you think maybe they would have ended up together at some point?
I think that's the way I always thought it, but depends on, what you
Because
want to
Jack,
believe.
because you had Jack with Juliet, right? Right? Who? What? No, wait. Who
No,
was
Sawyer's
after they
with
left the island.
He's
so,
someone after
okay.
they left the island.
Who was Jack's kid with? Because Jack has a kid.
That was Juliet.
That was Juliet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
Huh.
that didn't happen.
I know, but he had a kid. But
It's not really his kid.
it's too confusing for me. But then I do like the scene between Sun and Jen, and they're trying to figure out where to live. And Jen says, "I'm learning how to speak English," because she says, "Go back to Seoul." Why would we go back to Seoul? I want
They
to.
want to go home.
They say
home.
to Mexico because they want to work for Walter White and make some money. But they're suggesting different places, and she's like, "Oh no." But I thought it was a good scene.
That was a good
was.
scene.
It
It's
was.
like,
I'm
it's never gonna happen. But
Yeah.
But they're reconnecting in their love and their hope
Yeah.
to bring their child into the world. They're having a rebirth. They're there in that metaphoric sense. They're just about there. But they want to go. She goes, "I want to have my baby home." So the
Yeah.
word home comes up a bunch in this episode. So again, the goal is to go home, but that it's beautiful because they really have true love together. And, I always love Sun and Jin together.
yeah,
Yeah. That's what's so great is every season we watch that relationship get better and better as it goes along. And it's, of course, extremely important for us when we get through the conclusion. And even just in this season alone, once you find a big reveal about what happens with them, it makes this scene even that much more powerful
Right.
because
I
of the
think
separation.
the strongest couple that I can see is we have Rose and Bernard. They
Sure.
are the epitome of balance, light and dark. The balance of true love, of knowing they know that each other is okay, things like that. So they have that connection and that proper balance and that true love. And then I think that one after that would be Sun and Jin, because it took them a bit to find their way and their footing again together, but they do.
Yeah.
Can I say that maybe for Rose and Bernard it was easier for them because they didn't have to raise kids together. They didn't have the struggles. They've only been married a few years,
Yeah.
so it's like
I know. And then when they flash,
To be fair,
sideways,
Jen and Sun didn't have to raise a kid together either.
that's true. Yeah,
That's true.
but they
you
had issues though for a while.
Yeah,
Right.
then they actively chose not to raise the kid, and
Yeah,
never mind. Still
and-
bitter about that.
That's a whole other podcast. There.
Hey, let's let my evil dad raise our daughter. Anyway, yeah,
But they're having growth. We're seeing evidence of growth for sure.
Yes, and that's the point here is that this scene is showing that growth, and it's really nice.
Right. And again, this episode too, there are certain episodes that really kind of throw in our face life, death, and rebirth. This is one of them.
Yes. Right.
And, where Kate's mother she's the dying mother, so we're getting hints to the life, death, and rebirth, but they're definitely growing. They are learning. Some are just taking a little bit longer than others.
When Kate does give the hard no to her mother there, do you think I know why she did it, but I'm just saying, do you think there was part of her had some guilt there knowing that it technically isn't her grandchild? Do you think
could
was
be
that there at all? Maybe a little bit.
I think because
it was mostly because she just had so much hatred for this woman at this point, I guess. But I mean, if she lets her in her dying
her mom
moments love
turned her
on this
in for
child is
doing-
not her kid or not her grandkid, I don't know. That would make me feel a little
I don't
guilty.
think she wanted to give her that pleasure after
Am I
her
giving
turning
Kate too much
grandmother
credit
after, yeah.
for having a heart?
Well, you have two where she probably feels because her childhood friend who died, where Kate was trying to escape. I mean, if the mom doesn't go crazy and say, I mean, I would hope if I had done something like that, I would hope my mom wouldn't turn me in.
Sure.
Well, at least have a conversation about it first.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I guess they did, but still, it seemed harsh.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely did.
But we got Kate. This whole episode with Kate on the island. She wants to know what they know about her. So on the freighter. So she's like, Miles like, no, I just want an hour with. I want a minute with.
Do they know who I am?
Do they know who I am?
Yeah.
And again, they had to know who she. I mean, I can't see why she would want to get off the island.
Right.
But it worked out for her. And then she asked Ben and not Ben. She asked Locke, and Locke, this is dictatorship. We talked about that. And then Kate sees Hurley walking with some food, and she goes, "Oh," and he, of course, then Hurley goes, "You Scooby-Dooed me."
One of my all-time favorite lines. There's so many obviously great lines from Hurley, but we were actually just talking about that today while we were hanging around. Then I was like, "Oh, I love this line in this episode where he says, 'You just Scooby-Doo me, didn't you?'"
Well, there's a scene we didn't talk about the last episode where Saeed goes, "I'm not mad at you, Hurley. I'm not gonna hurt you, Hurley." And he goes, "I saw what you did on the beach with your feet. There's no way I'm staying back from you."
Yeah. Yeah. Hurley's not stupid.
No,
Okay?
I wouldn't mess with Saeed.
No, I would not. Nope.
I've said this 1,000 times. I don't know why Saeed wasn't chosen to be the leader on the island.
Yeah,
To me, he was the most level-headed person.
And
on
what's funny is in the beginning when the series started and they realized that they had to pull together and this is before Jack gave his "Live Together, Die Alone" speech. It was Saeed who stands in front of all the group and says, "We all have to pull together," and he's dictating, "You guys find this, you find that, you find food, you find water." So Saeed took the leadership role like in the first or second episode, very early on. And then that went away and Jack was the leader. So, but Saeed definitely has the traits to be a good leader. If his heart and mind are in the right place.
It probably went away when he tortured Sawyer.
Yeah. He lost his
Just
faith
like
in himself
that,
again because he flipped. Yeah. He lost faith in himself.
He definitely did trust himself.
But for the most part, if I was going to follow someone on the island, it would have been Saeed. It wouldn't have been John and it wouldn't have been Jack because they just were too all over the place. And then Miles wants to talk to Ben. And the lawyer, we go back to Kate, and he wants, to use Kate's son. No. Now, why was she so adamant about using her son? I don't get it.
Because she knows that it's not really her son, and she don't want to get him involved.
Well,
but they'll start when they question maternity and stuff like that potentially.
Right. Then they start investigating.
But she's a liar. You think they do a blood test? I mean, how are they? I mean, how are they going to know that it's not her son?
I mean, she believed it when Ben came after him.
Yeah,
I know exactly I know why the question that, but that was exactly my takeaway is that she would have been terrified that they would have found out what really happened there. So that's what I always gather too.
I get it, but if you go to prison.
But hold on.
But she's trying to preserve her story. She's trying to preserve that.
The other thing I always thought it could be is that she's already has that motherly protective instinct. And for her, she doesn't want to put her child, because in her mind now, this is her child, and she didn't want to expose that child to all of this, like I said, as a protective mode. Because you know how protective mothers are. Yes. And I just feel like maybe that was already an instinct she's had.
Except Kate's mom.
Huh? You were asking the reason why she didn't want the baby involved. Well, that too, but I mean, her being involved in the whole court process. Right. I just assumed that she didn't want to use the child because she's.
Well, you guys all three of you made good points on why not, but I'm just thinking, okay, I'm going to use everything I can to stay out of prison because I want to raise my son.
Right.
My son. Walt. Then we have Jack testifies.
Yeah, and we
walking up.
Starting to get the inklings there about that there was clearly some kind of amazing story they had to come up with once they left the island. Now, again, obviously, none of it's still fully clear to us at this point, but it was very interesting to hear that testifying what he had said during that moment in court, because you're like going, wow,
Wait,
what a story.
I've been watching this for 3 years. That didn't happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Anna Lucia went into the water and pulled people out, but not Kate.
Yeah.
Of course, we hate Anna Lucia, but that she did rush to the water and save a lot of people.
But that was quite a doozy of a story Jack was telling there.
Well, and also it's good too. There were 8 survivors. At least they kept the numbers in play.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was good.
True.
But see, with Jack telling that story, it's a lie, of course. And she even says at one point that you've told that story so many times, I almost think you believe it. So they're all living these, they have this untruth somewhere underlying in their lives. But again, if she's believing I'm going to be his mother, I'm going to just convince everybody else that I'm Aaron's mother, this child's mother. So there's these lies that they're just all talking themselves into. Each one has something different.
For sure.
Now, did she have the baby on the island? Because they weren't gone that long, right? They weren't off the island. It wasn't 9 months.
She says when they have their press conference that she had the baby on the island.
Yeah.
But they weren't.
Yeah, so she would have had to be 6 months pregnant because they were only on the island for 108 days.
Right. Right.
She was pregnant before the plane crash.
That's what she says.
And still could swim out there and save everybody.
Right. And then that's when the Karen Decker or whatever her name was says, no, Miss Austin's pregnancy is off the table. We're not talking about that. Yeah. So a little bit of info came out, but not all.
With her being arrested, they would have had a mug shot or something. I mean, I guess a mug shot wouldn't show if she was pregnant, but I feel like they might have jotted that down. Oh, yeah. So
here's the way.
It would have been a footnote in the warrant.
Here's the way I kind of looked at all of this down the road afterwards, is that I have to try to imagine this being a real scenario where this plane crash, clearly it goes down. They think it's, everybody's lost and, and dead. And then they find, oh my God, there's 6 survivors. Right. And I feel like, you're going to have everybody caught up in this just dramatic, amazing story that numbers and figures and like, was she really pregnant? I think at least early on, people are going to ignore those things because they just caught up in this amazing story about these people who survived this horrible thing and had to find some way to keep living. And here's this woman and she was pregnant. She had this baby. But you're right. If you start doing the math, you have like, well, wait a minute. And then looking how old Aaron looks at this point, it's like, I don't know. I could definitely see how
that was one giant baby.
Would question
at the press conference. That was one giant baby.
It seems like one of those things that conspiracy theory people would have torn apart after a little while of them being back.
Especially today with YouTube, right?
Yeah, right. Or Twitter. Twitter been like,
Richard says the Oceanic Liars Club.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Twitter been hashtag Kate's hoax. Kate was never pregnant. I do like when Jack, they asked, Kate, where they asked Jack, do you love Miss Austin? No, not anymore.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
Another lie.
Well, I think he had. Well, I think he had to say that to make so they couldn't use. Believable. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. Now, when I don't recall what I was thinking at that time, but I do wonder, like, because to me, I felt like just during a rewatch, I'm looking at going, bull crap. You totally love this woman.
Yes.
Stop.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I wasn't naive enough to think back then, like, well, maybe he doesn't really love her anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
To me now, it's like so obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the things that happened to him on the island, and he still loved her. There's no way he loves her. I mean, there's just it is what it is. Then Kate wants Sawyer's help to bust Ben out. But I do like where Sawyer knows right away, because you can't con Sawyer.
No.
He goes, you're terrible, because he tells Kate, you're terrible at this.
Yeah.
Just tell me the truth.
Yep.
And then Sawyer, of course, cons Locke, playing backgammon.
Yeah.
So
A lot of conning going on in this episode.
There is.
Storytelling, conning, game playing.
And then Miles talks with Ben. He wants $3.2 million. Not 3.3, not 3.1.
By the way, I am so happy the writers did that, because in real life, if we were in that position, we'd be doing the same thing. Why 3.2? Why not 3.3? I love how the writers put that in there. That was so clever, because that's exactly what you would say too, right? Like 3.2, what is this about? You know, I love that they put that in there. I'm sorry, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Well, it was like, why 3.2?
Yeah, because it makes it more realistic. And I hate when writers don't make things sound realistic. You know what I mean? When they write a script in a line, and you look at it and go, stop it. That's not what somebody's going to say when somebody just asked for $3.2 million.
Right.
They're going to ask, why the hell will you want 3.2? That's the honest answer.
Quick interjection. Elizabeth says, haha, Ana Lucia conned Sawyer out of the gun. Yes, she did. You're right.
Sure did.
She was a hell of a game player herself and a liar. So,
well, there's a lot of great con artists.
Yes.
In our favorite characters.
They're all liars on the show.
They're all liars. Right.
They're all part of that OLC.
Now it's going to be the Liars Club. Thanks, Richard.
Yeah.
Now that's part of going to be my vocabulary.
OLC. They're all part of the OLC.
Yes.
Thanks, Richard.
But then we have excuse me. And then Locke comes busting in with Saeed, and he's upset with Kate. But what bothered me about Locke when Kate's at she's playing some music. I didn't wake up Aaron, did I? No. He was born on this island. He's used to noise. Locke just walks in.
Right. He owns the place.
I get it, but it's two women staying there. Actually, I don't think I'd ever walk into a house without knocking.
No, I know I have not, but
so I mean, would any of you guys do that? Would just walk in and say?
I would not. Listen, I'm raised totally Italian. You don't walk in anybody's house. You knock. You wait till you're invited in like a vampire. You don't, you just. But Ben didn't like when people didn't knock. That irked him something bad. You don't knock, so he didn't like that. But Locke is like, I'm coming and going because he's just in charge.
Couldn't Locke have gotten shot? What if Kate had a gun and didn't know it was Locke coming in there?
He could have, and then that would have been the end of his story.
Yeah.
And Kate would have another murder charge.
Well, it's
that's true. Yes, that's true.
And what happens on the island stays on the island. That's true. But it just bothered me when he walked in like that. And then, of course, he tells her, he goes, okay, Kate, you're gone in the morning. You're out of here.
Right.
You're toast.
Yep.
Now he's banishing people.
Because he goes, I want to tell you why I did it. And he just said, I don't care.
Right.
Because is it because he got fooled? Is that what it was?
No, he's making up his own rules. I think he's trying to figure out the game, and he's throwing his own rules out there to kind of find his way. Are they correct rules? That he doesn't care. He's just trying to find his way, but he's throwing darts out there and seeing what sticks.
For sure. Yeah. But he's definitely at this point right now in this story, he is obviously not happy with being played like this.
Oh, no.
For sure.
Because he feels he's gotten so far now that, he's not going to take steps back, although that's who he is.
And then we hear Charlotte calls. They get Charlotte to call the boat, and we find out that the helicopter that left yesterday has not arrived yet. Where's the helicopter?
It's not a good sign. It's not a good sign. Yep.
Because even Saeed brought Naomi back, said, okay, we're going to bring Naomi back. But no, where's the helicopter? So it had to be something with that whole Miles experiment, right?
Right.
Is that what we're thinking?
I feel like definitely they're obviously setting it up for the audience to know that there is definitely some kind of strange time difference from when you're on the island, when you're off the island. So,
right. But the communication
at the time of that call, is that when there's a different time on the freighter versus the island? Like if the time is different and they're still communicating at the same time,
right?
Are they essentially, is their voice time traveling, or
There's a lot of gray
I'm trying to
areas.
wrap my brain
in this
around
part
that.
of this.
You
a lot of
can't.
gray
it's-
areas here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just go
No.
with it at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of gray areas, and I understand these are the kinds of things that drive some fans crazy and gets them all upset and everything. But come on, that part of it's just the fun mystery part that we can.
Just
all
gotta
do.
kinda
Yeah, sure. Just for the fun of it,
But
absolutely.
just for the fun of it. But I mean, definitely, it feels like physically. I think when you physically travel on and off, even if you use the right coordinates, obviously, because if you don't use the right coordinates, apparently that's really bad. But yeah, I do think they're trying to tell us that there's something there, that there's a huge jump in time when you physically try to leave the island. But maybe voices, that's a different story.
That's why you can't find the island.
Right.
Right.
It's a protective measure is a way I always looked at it. All these crazy things like this, to me, was always something there to protect where the island.
Right, and that comes up so often about whether it's talking about the smoke monster or the sounds, or like even Rousseau says when she takes Saeed hostage, they hear all the sounds of the monster, and he's like, "What is that?" And she tells him it's a security system. Right. So there are things that everything is about protecting this particular island. So everything is about that.
Yeah, because we know there's communication on and off the island. Dharma had their own stations, and those stations were able to get satellite feeds and things like that. So that stuff is there.
Sorry.
Say hi, baby.
Oh.
Say hello.
Like, I'm out of here.
I'm out of here.
I wish you put clothes on. That's all I would work on.
That's important.
Elizabeth said too, John plays by his own rules.
He does. Yes. He does play by his own rules.
But we had Locke. He questions Miles by putting a grenade in his mouth.
And that's where the churns, like I said, that's where these churns start getting a little more intense, because now
it's
I think
tough love.
Locke's like, okay, I'm done playing around with this. I'm gonna take things to the next level.
If you're Miles, wouldn't you just drop the grenade, drop kick it as Locke is going out the door?
Yeah, take this.
Well, how you going to get answers from somebody if they have a grenade in their mouth?
Exactly.
Doesn't seem an effective tactic.
How long can you keep a grenade in your mouth? Is there a Guinness Book of World Record on how? I mean, he takes the pin. Question. Did we ever find out was it a real grenade or was it fake? Was it a dud? Because Miles is freaking out. Miles is not happy.
I don't really recall.
Can you actually fit a grenade in your mouth?
It's a great
question. Let's try.
Yeah. I have 3 over here.
Yeah.
That's a loaded
one
question.
On them right now. Let's break one out and find out. You know what? No, I'm going to tell you right now, guys. I don't want to find out. I think I'll leave that experiment up to someone else.
Yeah. Yes. I don't think I could keep it in. What if you sneeze or you cough or you yawn, like I'm doing right now?
Well, but I think I
don't think you're bored when there's a grenade in your mouth. You're like, oh, what's next?
Yeah. Well, eventually, how long can you stay awake?
Yeah.
I mean, I realize they don't sleep on this island, and they don't go. I mean, when you go to the bathroom, you got this grenade in your. I don't know.
I understand that Locke is desperate for answers at this point, but I have to admit, when you watch, even in a rewatch, I feel like it is kind of disappointing to see him take it to a level, because he could possibly be killed, this guy, and it hurt me a little bit to see that he would be maybe willing to risk his life. But then again, there was other moments. Well, no, what am I saying? The guy just got done stabbing Naomi, so yeah, never mind. It was just these moments were kind of, this season was so much going on with Locke, but this was just another moment where, like, come on, Locke, seriously?
Was he trying to show that he was because Karen, you were saying he was growth and he was different, that he is a hunter, that he's not someone you want to mess with.
We're starting to see a
That's
different
true.
Locke. We're starting to see a real different Locke from this point on.
Is this the Locke? Is this the Locke he always wanted to be? He wants to be a badass, right?
Right. And maybe he's
might be how he
trying it on
envisions
for size.
himself, yeah.
Yeah, he's trying it on for size. But you know what's funny is here he was willing to really intimidate and hurt Miles and potentially kill him, but he still wasn't able to kill Anthony Cooper.
Right.
Yeah.
You had to have someone else
so
do it.
as long as it had nothing to do with his father, he couldn't do it. But now he's turned a corner where he's a little tougher. So
If
maybe
there's-
he's trying
if
it on for
there's
size.
If there's anybody he should have been able to kill, it's Anthony Cooper.
Right.
Absolutely.
But he wasn't ready then. He wasn't ready. So now we are seeing it. Now we're seeing a different, evolving John Locke. He's becoming someone
Absolutely.
different.
You're right. He is a very different person at this point.
Right. So from here on, we start to see a much different side to him, or a different version of him.
Is he becoming
It's
that
almost
way
like
because
he
he feels
thinks
after- Go ahead.
It's almost like after that happened, where he carried his dad back to Ben and them, that he took credit for that big sell, so to speak. And it's like he embraced that and maybe thinks he is a badass now.
Because it made him feel important because he pulled off that con. He made it like
Right.
he killed him. So he pulled it off. So maybe it gave him a boost of confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah,
True.
true. I don't know. It just bugs me. Anyway, so we got this. Kate takes the plea deal. She talks with. She wants to go out the back. Of course, Jack had the lawyer owed Jack a favor. They talk. Jack still loves Kate. We're right. They do make it still. I wrote down. They make it seem like it's Sawyer's baby. Just the way his attitude. Kate.
Right. We at this point we think it's definitely not Jack's.
Right.
Yeah, this is you have to, not until you're ready to see him too, kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, that's all good. Yeah, good points.
And then Kate comes home to her house in California, Hawaii. The grass is far too green to be in California. Just saying.
That's very true.
And then she, her house sitter, I guess, who's been watching the baby while she was in, because she didn't get parole, right? She was in jail while the trial was going on. Am I right?
Yeah, because they
she was a flight risk.
Yep, they were worried about her being flight risk.
No. And then we find out that Aaron is the baby boy, her baby boy. And I'm like, well, how did she end up with Aaron? But I did say this: the baby that they have playing, the kid that they have playing Aaron, has Claire's nose.
Oh.
If you look at the nose, it's almost like they have the same nose. I went, that's good casting. I don't know if they did it intentionally, but I think I said that when it first came out. I looked at the nose.
And he had such an adorable yawn.
Yeah.
Perfect casting.
Hi, mommy. It's
Yeah.
like,
So now we're wondering what happened to Claire. Is she dead?
yeah.
Where is she? We have
Yeah,
no
I assumed she
idea.
was dead.
Wondering
at that
that for
point.
a long time.
Yeah.
And then how many of us said, okay, if she has if Kate has Aaron,
How?
then why did Charlie die? Because Claire was supposed to be the one.
Right.
Yeah, because Charlie
that
died.
still
before
bugs
that.
me that never happened.
So there were so many questions with that end of that episode. There were so many questions.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You go, oh my God, what, how did she, and again, they explain and that you can see why Kate doesn't want to go back.
Right.
Why she's I mean, I don't know why she would want to go back. Who would want to go back to that island? But you can see why she doesn't want to go back.
But she is committed to being his mom. So,
Right.
so that again with her purpose. I thought it was really cute when she was in the garage with Jack, and she says we should get coffee. We should go get coffee, which is the same conversation that's had with Sawyer and Juliet.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
End of season 5, and she mentions it when she's dying in season 5, but then it comes back around in season 6. I love those cute little things that.
Yeah, Jack and Kate didn't discuss who was going to pay though.
That's true.
And Richard says that himself a juice box. Yeah, I remember that line now.
Yep.
Juice box, mommy.
Box.
But that was the episode. You guys said you liked the Economist more than Eggtown. I thought they were both. I thought they were both great episodes.
Yeah, I always said that because if I had to pick a favorite between the two, it would probably be the Economist. But I think they're both pretty solid episodes. Both have, of course, major dramatic endings, which I know that happens in a lot of Lost episodes. But they were they were big moments, because I remember, like you said, the whole thing with finding out who Saeed's working for, and then now you find out Aaron is off the island with Kate, raising him, and we have no idea how the hell that happened. So it was just big. It's good television.
It's crazy. I mean, it just I remember at the time going, oh my God, and just all the different theories going on out there at the time. The show was really hitting its stride, coming back to where it was in the first couple of seasons.
Yeah, and it was such
it was setting up that what's going on, what happened between Jack and Kate off the island, that they're no longer together.
Yeah, it was so important because, you know, things were going on that time. You know, we had the TV strike going on, and a lot of uncertainty with television and stuff. And then, bam, Lost comes back, and it's like more intense than ever, and more exciting, and more mysteries. Like, what in the world happened, and who are these 6 for sure, and how in the world did they get off and everybody else didn't? You know, so there was so many good moments.
And how did Jack go from the guy that testified
to the bearded crazy Jack? The
guy we see at the end of season 3 going, all right, what happened there, Jack?
Yeah, because this episode with the Eggtown, we see clean-cut, nice, well-mannered, seems like he's got his life together, Jack. So you're right. You're going, when do we get crazy bearded Jack?
I love that, trying to piece the puzzle together, and we just need more pieces to fill in the gaps.
Yeah, and that's what I encourage people. Go watch this. You got to rewatch Lost again, because a rewatch, you see so much that you missed before, obviously, and it's just so much more enjoyable. Even I can't believe I'm saying it, but I feel like when you rewatch it, it's almost even more enjoyable. But maybe not really. But you know what I'm trying to say.
It's never going to be the way it was for anybody watching it now, where you had to wait. Right. I think the waiting, as much as it sucked, it made the show so much better because everybody had that time to absorb every episode, comb through all the stuff, theorize about what was going to happen.
Had a week of brainstorming.
Next episode, yeah.
Well, I think
then you get invested in theories, and then they don't come true, or they do, and you're kind of bummed out by it. Where now it's just like, okay, next.
Well, I think that you had the worst part was the end of season 3. I think because we had 9 months. I think it was like 9 because they didn't start
something like that,
right? And it's like, okay, we have to go back, Kate. What? And 9 months later, it's like, wait, you're gonna make me wait almost a year to figure out what is going. And then when we come back, we still don't know because we're getting the flash forwards, and we like talked about the lie where there was 8 survivors, and Kate was going back and forth, and she has a baby, and it just like, what's going on? And Saeed is one, but he's working for Ben. It's like, oh my God, this show is brilliant.
I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad the writer's strike happened for that season, because I feel like that season would have suffered if they did 20 something episodes.
Yeah.
Like I think it works really well because it was so concise.
For sure. Yeah. And I will say, by the way, I always do. I love when I introduce someone to Lost and they watch it for the first time. But going back to what you said, is that I do feel bad for them because they weren't there for the ride. That ride that we had was so amazing because, like you said, we're writing about it on the internet. We're talking about it on the internet. We're calling our friends. It's the best conversation you ever had with your friends at work. Everybody was talking about this and all the mysteries and every theory we must have had. We must have 1,000 theories. And I feel bad because the people who are just now watching the show for the first time,
they
didn't have that. They don't have that. I mean, they had the thrill of such a great television, but they're missing out on
and
the
plus
ride.
They missed out, and I say this, probably said this 100 times on this rewatch, they missed out on a great community. I mean, it's just a great community. I mean, there's very few jerks in the Lost community. I mean, you're always going to have.
Can I name off the jerks, by the way? No, I'm just kidding.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, we have a list.
I know
of jerks.
What you're saying.
I have a list.
Got a list.
I mean, there's some. I mean,
I know what you're saying, though. It really is. And don't get me wrong, new watchers can definitely join this community. It's fantastic. But they don't have the same passion we have for us Losties that watched it from the very beginning and went for that amazing ride.
Yeah, it just was incredible. But anyway, anything else you guys want to talk about?
I want to wish fathers a happy Father's Day.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Happy Father's Day to dads.
Yeah, happy fathers to all the dads. So,
Yep.
Jack, I'm back podcasting sort of on a regular basis again, sort of.
All right.
Yeah, me and my wife are podcasting about Disney now over at
Oh my
Gyro
God,
Media.
that's my other love.
Now that
Yeah.
Disney.
now that
That's my
Disney's
other love.
opening up again.
Yeah, no, actually, we started this before the pandemic.
I remember that. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, so we've been doing it. We're actually only on every 5 weeks, me and my wife, but it's a really ambitious podcast because we have 11 hosts. So each week we hear a different set of hosts, and we talk about everything. So movies, travel, yes, going to Disneyland. So it's big, but it's been a lot of fun.
I'm at Disney World as much as I can be because I'm annual pass holder. So once things get back to normal, I'll be there all the time again.
Yeah, very good. Well, we'll try to get back in once it's open, and obviously we're actually going to do a podcast about what to expect when you go back to Disneyland, because as you can imagine, all these places are going to be very different when we return.
We were planning on going in November, and we changed it, and now we're trying to figure out when to go next year.
Yeah.
I go, if they're requiring a mask, we don't want to be there when it's humid.
Sure.
There's just no way.
Jack, Disneyland or Disney World? Which one?
Disney World.
Oh, if you ever come down here, let me know so we can.
Yeah. So if we ever make it down there, good.
Yeah, we'll connect.
We've been there a couple times already, but like Disneyland it was our family. We would go there. We took the kids there every year. That was for a week. We'd go to Disneyland and all that. It was just. So we're a Disney family, but Jeremiah, send me that link and I'll post it in the show notes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Walking around Disney in Florida in a mask, don't even think about it. It would be horrific.
Well, we found out now you have to make reservations. So you have to. It's like, and you can only go to one park a day.
Yeah. No park hopping.
No park hopping, which is like, come on, that's the joy, getting on the monorail and going to. In fact, I have always been upset though. Maybe you can answer this, Jeremiah or Karen. Why is the monorail it's the way of the future? That's how we're supposed to travel the future. How come it doesn't go to every park at Disney World?
I feel like that might have been a question for the Imagineers when they built that back in the time. But great question. Great question.
I said that when I first. I went, wait, the monorail, because I was always told when I went to Disneyland, this is the wave of the future. This is how you're going to travel. Because since I was a kid, I go, okay. So I get to Disney World. I go, it goes to 2 parks. What's that? It goes everywhere.
Yeah.
But it's just a small complaint.
Yeah, I'm sure it's because of the expansion. Obviously, I think they had no idea that at the beginning that they were going to have 4 parks like they do now and stuff. So it was different that time when they built it. So
I know
they could expand it. They could have expanded it.
Because I know when he started building his plans for Disney World, he said he wasn't going to make this same mistake with Disneyland because he didn't buy the land around it. So all these little little motels popped up around. I don't know if you guys ever been to Disneyland, but there's these old motels, and he couldn't. They would offer him. Finally, I think people started selling out, but that was the problem. They couldn't expand. They had to take away to build California Disney. They took away half the parking to build another park. So but that was he said, I'm not going to make that same mistake. But I think he was given the land in Florida, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, but he got it very cheap.
He got it very cheap. He bought it, but it was cheap.
Very cheap. Yeah.
Part of a thing where they wanted him to, obviously, who would want Disneyland with all that money coming in? But
at the
we were supposed to go to Disneyland this year, but we scrapped that. So we'll have to wait till next year for Disneyland.
Well, anytime anyone does come back to California and go to Disneyland, let me know, because my wife and I will always enjoy hooking up with other Lost fans, and we can.
Well, we'll connect.
Speak out on Disney.
I'll make sure that I connect with you on Twitter or something. Connect, and but we got to have our happy places so we can escape all of this. It's Lost in the house, but if it's outside of the house, it's Disney. That's my thing. Elizabeth loves Disney too. Yes, that's my happy place.
It is. It's a very happy place.
And if anybody wants to continue on with checking out my madness on Lost, you can go to Karen's Lost Notebook on Blogspot. And that's where all my website stuff is, from the stuff I wrote back in the day. And you can see all the insanity there.
And Joel?
What, are we plugging stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
plug away. Plug.
I don't know. I mean, I'm still daily vlogging. I don't know why. 6 years later,
Good.
It's awesome.
still exploring abandoned buildings and stuff like that, and making videos on it. That's called Lost to Time, which
But
obviously
they're awesome. They're really
that from
good.
Lost. What else am I doing? Nothing. Just hanging out with the kids.
Well, that's always fun.
I got nothing else to plug.
There you go.
Yeah, but my plug is from 15 years ago. So
And I watch grandkids all
it's been
like
the
every
same.
day, so.
It's been the same plug since Lost started. So
It's awesome.
all right.
But that's
Well, this
it.
was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. Good
Thank you,
talk
fellas.
tonight.
Yeah.
I
Thank you very much.
promise, if you ask me back again, I'll watch the episodes before we do the podcast.
You were fine. You were fine.
I feel like I normally remember all the stuff about Lost, but like I was drawing a complete blank on that first episode today.
And this was all about your Kate, that second one. I figured you'd have a lot to say about
And
Kate.
somehow I remembered that. But
Well, again, thanks everyone. Thanks for everyone in the chat who joined us, and the three of you. Thanks as always for joining.
wait, Jack, did I tell you that in January I went to the sound stage where they recorded the music for Lost?
You did. You mentioned you were going.
Okay, I've been on a podcast since then. Maybe.
Yes.
Did you
That's
tell
awesome.
them at the time?
Oh, that's right. That was right after I came back. Never mind. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Double.
I was jealous.
That's awesome. I'm
Yeah.
jealous.
I just live here in Raleigh and sweat.
I didn't notice until like the third day we were there. It was the last day we were there, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is where they recorded the music. Somebody saw my Lost logo on my shirt and was like, they recorded the score here. Dang, okay.
Yeah, I
That's
just
awesome.
sit here in Raleigh and
Swear
Oh, and
to
my girlfriend said I have passion for the show. She's obviously listening. She even made me a lost water bottle thing.
that's
Love
nice.
Well, if she's going to sell those, tell her to contact me so I can
Yeah,
have
she put a little cloud here. I'm guessing that's Smoke Monster.
Smoke Monster. That's awesome.
The plane should have been split in half, but I let her slide. She said this was a canoe or outrigger or something.
Oh, okay.
This was
That's so
Penny.
cute.
The boat, and then whatever.
That's awesome.
Stuff.
Now,
Does
wait a
she,
minute.
have, does she have the answers for who was shooting at the outrigger? Does she know?
I'll let you know if she responds with that. She's
Okay.
In fairness, maybe that was not the plane that they originally crashed on. Maybe it was an Ocean 15. Maybe it was the one that brought them back to the island. It's possible.
Okay, could have been a Jira. Yeah.
Jira, yeah.
Be a Jared plane. That's
But
it.
Jira 316, is that what it
I
was?
think that's
Yep.
correct.
I
Yeah.
remember that.
That is right. Yep.
Maybe it's that one.
Yeah.
Trying to throw that out
Okay.
there.
With Frank as a pilot, right?
Frank's always the pilot.
We're not
It
going
was supposed to be the pilot.
All right, guys. Great job. Fantastic job. And we'll definitely have all three of you back.
Thank you so much, guys. It was
Really.
great
It's
fun.
been an honor.
Namaste.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.